There's a piece of financial advice that gets repeated more than almost any other. Your parents said it. Your teachers said it. Your bank still says it. Your friends say it when you ask them what to do with extra money. Save your money. It sounds responsible. It sounds safe. It sounds like the foundation of a sensible financial life. It sounds like something only an irresponsible person would argue with. And right now, in 2026, it is one of the most quietly destructive pieces of advice you can follow. Because the world this advice was written for doesn't exist anymore. The math behind it has been broken for almost 2 decades, and almost nobody has bothered to tell the people still following it. The result is a generation of people who think they're doing the right thing. They have a savings account. They contribute to it regularly. They feel responsible when they check the balance and see it growing. But underneath that feeling, something else is happening, something they were never warned about, something that's quietly making them poorer every single year. Tonight I'm going to show you what's actually happening to your savings account while you're not paying attention. The math nobody runs, the patterns the banks profit from, and the 5 steps you can take this weekend to stop being slowly drained by advice that should have been retired a long time ago. This is the lie nobody wants to admit. Let me show you how it works. Here's what's actually happening to your savings account right now while you sleep. The national average savings account in the United States pays 0.39% interest per year. Inflation, as of early 2026, is running at 2.4%. That's not a small gap. That's a 2% loss in purchasing power. Every single year, compounding against you. Let me make this concrete. $1,000 sitting in a typical savings account this year will buy roughly $980 worth of stuff next year. In 10 years, the same $1,000 will buy somewhere around $800 worth of stuff. In 20 years, around $640. Your balance grew slightly. Your wealth shrank substantially. This isn't a theoretical concern. The numbers are documented. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation tracks the national average. The Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes inflation data every month. Anyone can run this math on a calculator in 30 seconds, but almost nobody does, because the bank never explains it. The financial education in schools never explains it. The parents who taught you to save weren't told it either. The math just sits there, doing its quiet work, while everyone congratulates each other for being responsible. And the data is worse than the averages suggest. According to a recent banking survey, roughly 17% of American savers aren't earning any interest at all on their accounts. Another 17% are earning less than 1%. That's a third of all savers in the country, quietly losing money, while being told they're doing the responsible thing. This isn't safety. This is slow erosion dressed up to look like prudence, and nobody warns you because nobody profits from telling you. You need to understand how this advice ever made sense, so you can see clearly why it doesn't anymore, why you were taught this. A generation ago, savings accounts actually worked. In the 1970s and 1980s, savings accounts in the United States routinely paid 5, 6, sometimes 8% interest. Inflation was higher in some of those years too, but the rates and the inflation roughly tracked each other. Sometimes saving actually outpaced the cost of living. Saving was a viable path to slow, steady wealth accumulation. Your parents weren't lying when they told you to save. In their world, saving worked. They watched their own savings grow in real purchasing power. They watched their parents' savings grow. They handed the advice down to you in good faith, believing it would do for you what it had done for them. That world ended, quietly, around the year 2008. The financial crisis happened. The Federal Reserve cut interest rates to nearly zero to stimulate the economy. They left them there for almost a decade. Banks followed suit, dropping their savings account rates to near zero too. Meanwhile, inflation continued. The cost of housing, health care, education, food, and almost everything else kept climbing. The gap between what banks paid you and what your money lost to inflation flipped upside down, and it stayed flipped for nearly 2 decades now. But the advice didn't update. Your parents still say save your money. Your teachers still say save your money. The bank running ads for their 0.5% savings account still says save your money. The articles in the financial press still treat saving as the foundation of responsibility. The advice is 50 years out of date. The world that produced it is gone. And nobody updated the script. Now think about the second strange part of this story. Why the bank still wants you to save. Why does your bank keep telling you to save with them when they're paying you almost nothing? Why the ads? Why the campaigns? Why the bright posters in the lobby? Why the encouragement every time you walk in? Why the apps that congratulate you for hitting savings milestones? Because your savings are the bank's lending capital. That's the entire business model. Your money sits in their account, earning you a fraction of a percent. The bank then lends that same money out to other people at 5%, 9%, sometimes 22% on credit cards. The spread between what they pay you and what they charge their borrowers is their profit, pure profit, almost guaranteed. The more you save with them, the more they can lend. The more they can lend, the more they earn. This is why your bank invests so much in convincing you to save with them. It's not because saving is good for you. It's because saving is good for them. Every dollar of yours sitting in their account is a dollar they can lend out at 5 to 20 times the rate they're paying you. You're not their customer in the way you think you are. You're their inventory, their raw material. And they need a steady supply of it, so they keep telling you the same story your parents heard, your grandparents heard, and your great-grandparents heard. Save your money. We'll keep it safe. The first part is true. The second part is also true in a narrow sense. They won't lose your dollars. But what those dollars buy keeps shrinking. And nobody at the bank is going to mention that to you, because the system they run depends on you not noticing. Most people think of inflation as an abstract economic concept, something that happens in the news, something the Fed talks about, something distant from their daily lives. It isn't. It's a force acting on your money every day. What inflation actually is. Imagine a slow leak in the bottom of your bank account, not big enough to notice in any single day, not big enough to make a sound, not big enough to set off any alarms, but constant, inevitable, always running, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That's inflation. Every dollar you have buys slightly less than it did the day before. Every month, the cost of groceries goes up a little. Every year, rent rises. Every decade, the price of everything you depend on roughly doubles. If you're earning enough interest to outpace that leak, your money holds its real value. If you're not, you're slowly being drained, even though your account balance might be going up in absolute terms. And here's the most important thing to understand about the leak. It doesn't care whether you're being responsible. It doesn't care whether you're following the advice your parents gave you. It doesn't care whether you're doing the prudent thing. It doesn't care about your intentions, your effort, your discipline. It just keeps draining. Mechanically, mathematically, without pause. A savings account that pays 0.4% in a 2.4% inflation environment is leaking 2% a year, every year, without exception. The bank isn't doing anything wrong. In a legal sense, they're paying you what their contract says they'll pay you. The inflation isn't anyone's fault. It's just how the modern monetary system works. But the result for you is unmistakable. Your savings are slowly being drained, while the headline number on your account stays the same or grows a little. And almost nobody is going to point this out to you. Let me show you what this actually looks like in practice. Not as a theory, as a scene. The two accounts, two friends, both age 30, same town, similar incomes, both decide at the same time to start putting money away for the future. Both completely responsible. Both following what they were told was the right path. The first friend, Daniel, does what his parents taught him. He opens a savings account at his local bank. Standard account, 0.4% interest. He sets up an automatic transfer of $200 a month. Every month, the money moves over. Every month, he feels good about it. The balance grows steadily. He tells himself he's being responsible. The second friend, Maya, does something slightly different. She opens a brokerage account. She picks a single broad market index fund. Boring, diversified, low fees. She sets up the same $200 a month, automatic transfer. The money goes into the index fund without her thinking about it. She doesn't check it. She doesn't trade. She doesn't try to time anything. She just lets it sit and grow. 20 years pass. Daniel's savings, at 0.4% interest, have grown to roughly $50,000, but the cost of everything has gone up by about 60% over those 20 years. His $50,000 now buys what about $30,000 would have bought when he started. Maya's index fund, earning the long-run average of about 7% in real returns after inflation, has grown to roughly $104,000. In real purchasing power, after inflation, after fees, same starting amount, same monthly contribution, same 20 years, same effort, same discipline. Daniel followed the advice. Maya didn't. One of them now has roughly 3.5 times more wealth than the other. The difference wasn't intelligence, wasn't luck, wasn't risk tolerance. It was a single decision made on a single afternoon about which type of account the money would sit in. Two completely different financial futures from one quiet choice. You might be wondering why almost nobody is shouting this from the rooftops. Why isn't it on the news? Why don't financial advisors mention it more? Why doesn't the financial education system in schools teach it? Why this gets so little attention? Because the financial industry profits enormously from your savings. They profit when you save. They profit when you don't invest. They profit when you stay in their lowest yield products. Every dollar of yours sitting in a savings account is a dollar they're earning a spread on. Every dollar that moves out of their savings products and into index funds is a dollar they stop earning that spread on. If everyone moved their savings into index funds tomorrow, the banking industry would lose a substantial part of its profitability. They have no incentive to tell you this story clearly. They have every incentive to bury it in disclosures nobody reads, in fine print, in language designed to make you feel responsible for choosing the very products that drain you. The advice isn't a conspiracy. There's no boardroom where executives plot to deceive savers. It's something subtler than that. It's an incentive structure that quietly shapes which messages get amplified and which get buried. Banks have huge marketing budgets. Index funds don't. Banks have branches on every corner. Index funds don't have any branches at all. Banks have account managers who recommend products. Most of those account managers earn more when they recommend the bank's products than when they recommend that you move your money to a brokerage. The system that profits from your bad decisions is the same system you're asking to teach you how to make good ones. You can't expect that system to give you advice that hurts its own profitability. So the message stays the same, generation after generation. Save with us. Save more. Build your savings. Until enough people finally figure out, on their own, that something doesn't add up, and then they do something about it, or they don't. Now let me be honest with you about something, because this is a Money Rebel channel, and a Money Rebel channel doesn't pretend any one answer is right for everyone. The nuance nobody adds. Saving isn't always wrong. There are specific situations where saving is exactly the right thing to do, and glossing over those situations would be its own kind of lie. The first is the emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, held in cash or high-yield savings. This isn't an investment. This is insurance against the unexpected. The point of an emergency fund isn't to grow. The point is to be reachable instantly when life hits, a sudden medical bill, a lost job, a car that needs replacing. Sitting in cash is a feature, not a bug. You don't want this money in the stock market because the moment you need it might be exactly the moment the market is down. The second is money you need within 5 years, a down payment for a house, a wedding, a planned major expense. Money on that short horizon shouldn't be in the stock market because crashes do happen, and you can't afford to lose 30 or 40% of your house deposit right before you need it. Cash or short-term bonds are appropriate for these goals. The third is money you genuinely need to keep liquid for predictable purposes. Upcoming taxes, planned home repairs, a child's tuition due next year. Anything you need in the near future belongs in stable, accessible forms. So saving has a real role, but the role is small and specific. The role isn't, this is where my money lives forever. The role is, this is where the money lives that I need to be safe, predictable, and reachable in the short term. Everything else, every dollar beyond the emergency fund, every dollar you don't need in the next 5 years, every dollar earmarked for retirement, every dollar you're trying to build wealth with, belongs somewhere that grows faster than inflation. almost without exception. If you're saving without ever investing, you're not being responsible. You're being eaten. And the difference matters more than almost any other financial distinction you'll ever make. This is the part that matters most, because criticism without instruction is useless, and pointing out the problem without offering a solution would be its own kind of failure. What to actually do? First, audit your savings. Look at the actual interest rate on your accounts. Log into your bank. Find the number. If it's below 4%, you're being underpaid. The best high-yield savings accounts in May 2026 are paying around 4 to 4.5%. Many traditional banks still pay almost nothing because they hope you won't check. Move your emergency fund to one of the higher yield accounts. Takes about 10 minutes. The paperwork is online. The transfer is instant. Second, decide what's actually emergency money. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, not desired expenses. Essential ones: rent, food, utilities, transportation, minimum debt payments. Calculate that number honestly. That stays in cash. Everything else gets reclassified. Third, open an investment account, a brokerage account, a Roth IRA if you're in the United States, a 401k with employer match if your job offers it. The accounts are free to open. The setup takes a single afternoon. Most major brokerages will walk you through it step by step. Fourth, put your non-emergency money into broad market index funds, not individual stock picks, not cryptocurrency, not whatever someone on social media is currently promoting. Boring, broad, diversified funds with low fees. An S&P 500 fund, a total market fund, a target date retirement fund. Pick one. Don't agonize over it. Start. Fifth, automate the whole thing. Set up monthly contributions that happen without your involvement. Pay yourself first, before you even see the money. The system that runs without your willpower is the system that actually works over decades. 5 steps, done in a single weekend, and the mathematical trajectory of your entire financial life shifts permanently. So let me leave you with this, the question you carry with you. Almost everyone you know is still following the advice that's quietly draining them. They have savings accounts paying almost nothing. They've never opened an investment account. They've been told their entire lives that saving is the responsible path, that investing is risky, that the stock market is for other people, that what they're doing is enough. It used to be enough. It isn't anymore. The world changed. The math flipped. The advice should have updated to match the new reality. It didn't. The institutions that profit from the old advice had no reason to update it, and the people repeating it didn't know any better. And now there are 2 groups of people in the modern economy. The ones who figured this out quietly moved their money where it could actually grow and let compounding do its work for decades. And the ones who kept saving, the way they were taught, while inflation slowly took it back, 1% at a time, year after year, until they reached retirement and discovered that the savings they thought they had didn't buy what they thought it would. The first group is building wealth. The second group is building the appearance of wealth, a growing balance that buys less every year. So here's the question I want you to carry with you for the rest of the day, the one that matters more than anything I've said tonight. If your savings account paid you nothing, 0%, but the balance kept going up because the bank was adding random numbers to make you feel good, would you still keep your money there? That's what's happening right now, just at a slightly slower speed. Your balance is going up. Your wealth is going down. The bank is making you feel responsible while quietly taking purchasing power away from you year after year, decade after decade. You don't have to participate in this. You only have to see what's actually happening and quietly, calmly do something about it. This weekend. Not next year. Not when you have more money. Now. Because every month you wait is another month of slow erosion, and those months add up faster than you think. I'm Larry. I'm the Money Rebel, and I'll see you in the next video.